Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to talk about top 10 wealthiest people of all time in the world. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. The list of the top 10 wealthiest people in history is an attempt to gather and compare the net worth and fortunes of historical figures against one another. This video includes both nominal and real wealth. Number 10. Cornelius Vanderbilt. Cornelius Vanderbilt gained his fortune from shipping and railroad. His net worth of $105 million in 1877 was equal to 1.15% of the US annual GDP in his day. With a real value estimated somewhere between $143 billion and $178.4 billion adjusted for the late 2000s decade, Vanderbilt is one of the wealthiest Americans in the history of the country. Number 9. Bill Gates. Bill Gates has singularly amassed the large street nominal fortune in all of history through his computer technology corporation Microsoft, peaking at $101 billion in 1999. By 2007 his net worth had dropped to $82 billion, and by 2013 his worth was valued at $67 billion. Extensive donation to charity is the primary cause of his decrease in wealth. In terms of real value, Gates is likely one of the 10 wealthiest Americans in history. He has been placed in the top 10 wealthiest people of all time. Number 8. Henry Ford. Henry Ford was an American automotive engineer, entrepreneur, and founder of the Ford Motor Company. Through his designing of the Model T Ford and employing the assembly line means of rapid production, he was able to lower the base price of his product in order to reach a wider market. His highest earnings are recorded at age 57, and he died at the age of 83 in 1947, at a net worth of US $188.1 billion inflation-adjusted value in 2008 dollars. Number 7. Don Simon Ali Patino. Don Simon Ali Patino, born in 1862, died 1947, was a Bolivian industrialist. He took over tin mines in Bolivia and smelters in England and Germany, and by the 1940s he controlled the international tin market. During World War II, Patino was believed to be one of the 5 wealthiest people in the world. His mountain located near El Agua turned out to be richer in minerals than anyone had imagined. Although the first several years of work yielded little, the turning point came in 1900, when Patino located a very rich vein of tin later called La Salvadora, the Savior. Over the next 10 years he built up the control of nearby mines, and other important mines in Bolivia including Catavi, Siglo XX, Unchia and Huanuni. By the 1920s he had also bought out Chilean interests in his mining company, and went on to buy tin smelters in England and Germany. By the 1940s he controlled the international tin market, and was one of the wealthiest men in the world, hence his title the Tin King Rey del Estado. In his 2008 book, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell estimated the total net worth of Simon I. Patino around $81.2 billion in 2008 dollars. That amount placed him in number 26 of all-time wealthiest individuals in human history, ahead of Bill Gates, Carlos Slim, Warren Buffett and J.P. Morgan. Number 6. Jacob Fugger. Jacob Fugger was a German banker, merchant and a member of the Fugger banking family of Germany. He achieved a monopoly position in the silk and copper trade in Europe, and was main financier and creditor of the Emperor Charles V. His nephew was the wealthy banker Anton Fugger, to whom he bequeathed his wealth upon his death. This heritage amounted to roughly 2.1 million guilders, which are 7,000 kilograms of gold, and his remaining property with his support of the Habsburg dynasty. As a banker he had a decisive influence on European politics at the time. He financed the rise of Maximilian I and made considerable contributions to secure the election of the Spanish King Charles I to become Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. Jakob Fugger also funded the marriages which later resulted in the House of Habsburg gaining the kingdoms of Bohemia and Hungary. Number 5. Hessian. Hessian was a Manchu official of the Qing dynasty, a favorite of the Qianlong Emperor, and one of the wealthiest people in modern Chinese history. Upon his death in 1799 his total property was estimated at around 1.100 billion taels of silver, roughly $42 billion based on 2011 silver prices. Hessian's wealth was the equivalent to the imperial revenue of the Qing government for 15 years. Within a year of his initial employment, Hessian was promoted to vice president of the Ministry of Revenue, and 2 months later was made a grand councillor. Within 3 months he was promoted even further to a minister of the imperial household department, a post usually filled with the most meritorious officials. In 1777, at the age of 27, Hessian was given the privilege of riding a horse within the Forbidden City, a prestigious privilege given only to high-ranking officials of elderly age. It was not long before Hessian was given control of both the Ministry of Revenue and the Civil Council, allowing him to control the revenue of the entire empire, and appoint his own henchmen to important posts within the officials. The Salar Jariya Sufi revolt was put down by Fukangan along with Agi and Li Shiyao Gansu in 1784, while Hessian was recalled for his failure during the revolt. Number 4. Mir Osman Ali Khan. Mir Osman Ali Khan, the last Nizam, ruler, of Hyderabad, who was regarded as the wealthiest person in the world. His portrait graced the cover of Time magazine in 1937. He had his own mint, printing his own currency, the Hyderabadi rupee, and a vast private treasury. Its coffers were said to contain £100 million in gold and silver bullion and a further £400 million of jewels. Among them was the Jacob diamond, Koh-i-Noor, valued at some £100 million in 2008, and used by the Nizam as a paperweight. There were also other treasures: gems, pearls enough to pave Piccadilly Circus, hundreds of racehorses, thousands of uniforms, tons of royal regalia, and Rolls-Royces by the dozen. The Nizam is widely believed to have remained as the richest man on earth. Until his death in 1967, he was reputedly a benevolent ruler who patronized education, science and development. During his 37-year rule, electricity was introduced, and railways, roads and airports were developed. He was known as the architect of modern Hyderabad, and is credited with establishing many public institutions in the city of Hyderabad, including among others Osmania University, Osmania General Hospital, State Bank of Hyderabad, Begumpet Airport and the Hyderabad High Court. 2 reservoirs, Osman Sagar and Himayat Sagar, were built during his reign to prevent another great flood in the city. He was also a philanthropist, donating to various educational and religious institutions across India and towards compiling the Holy Mahabharata. Apart from his wealth, he was known for his eccentricities. He used to knit his own socks and borrow cigarettes from guests. Number 3. Nikolay Alexandrovich Romanov. Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, born in 1868 as Nikolay Alexandrovich into the House of Romanov, was the emperor of the Russian Empire from 1894 until the February Revolution of 1917. Around age 48, in 1916, his wealth was valued at up to US $881 million, which equals US $290 billion in today's money. He is seen as the wealthiest monarch and head of state in history, and further as the wealthiest saint. The Russian Orthodox Church declared him, his wife and his children martyrs after being murdered in 1918 by the Bolsheviks. Nicholas signed the Anglo-Russian Entente of 1907, which was designed to counter Germany's attempts to gain influence in the Middle East. It ended the great game of confrontation between Russia and the British Empire. He supported Serbia and approved the mobilization of the Russian army on the 30th of July 1914. In response, Germany declared war on Russia on the 1st of August 1914 and its ally France on the 3rd of August 1914, starting the Great War, later known as the First World War. The severe military losses led to a collapse of morale at the front and at home, leading to the fall of the House of Romanov in the February Revolution of 1917. Number 2. Andrew Carnegie. One of the most famous manufacturers of America, is originally from Scotland. Born in 1835 in Dunfermline, the Andrew Carnegie came to America a kid and started working in a steel factory. In 1892, he founded the Carnegie Steel Plant in Pittsburgh, which immediately began to be terribly profitable. After the sale in 1901 merged with the giant U.S. Steel. The Carnegie was a great humanist and dies before the 83 years had donated much of his fortune to schools, libraries and universities. Carnegie devoted the remainder of his life to large-scale philanthropy, with special emphasis on local libraries, world peace, education and scientific research. With the fortune he made from business, he built Carnegie Hall in New York, and the Peace Palace, and founded the Carnegie Corporation of New York, Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Carnegie Institution for Science, Carnegie Trust for the Universities of Scotland, Carnegie Hero Fund, Carnegie Mellon University, and the Carnegie Museums of Pittsburgh, among others. Number 1. John D. Rockefeller. The tycoon John D. Rockefeller changed the facts in regards to wealth, when America almost managed to monopolize the oil market in the late 1800s. The famous New Yorker founded the Standard Oil Company in 1870, and became wealthy in a time when the demand for kerosene and gasoline was huge. Indeed, he became so wealthy that left the company in 1897, and spent the last 40 years of his life in retirement. In his last days, the Rockefeller donated much of his fortune in schools and medical research while he founded the University of Chicago. When considering the real value of his wealth, Rockefeller is widely held to be the wealthiest person in history. The Supreme Court ruled in 1911 that Standard Oil must be dismantled for violation of federal antitrust laws. It was broken up into 34 separate entities, which included companies that became ExxonMobil, Chevron Corporation, and others, some of which still have the highest level of revenue in the world. In the end, it turned out that the individual segments of the company were worth more than the entire company was when it was one entity. The sum of the parts were worth more than the whole, as shares of these doubled and tripled in value in their early years. Consequently, Rockefeller became the country's first billionaire, with a fortune worth nearly 2% of the national economy. His peak net worth was estimated at $418 billion United States dollars in 2019 dollars, inflation adjusted, in 1913. His personal wealth was estimated at $900 million at the time in 1913, which was almost 3% of the US GDP of $39.1 billion that year. What do you think of our list? Which of the persons shocked you the most? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.